The Turkish Cap by B P Gupta. The school bell rang. We rushed out of the classroom. I took the gilly out of my bag and Kunal took the danda. We reached the ground outside our school compound where we usually played. Paresh drew a big circle. Kunal entered the circle, placed the gilly in the center, and took the danda to strike it. The others took their positions around the circle. Kunal struck the gilly hard. It flew out of the circle and went quite far. None of us could catch it. Nilesh was the first to reach the gilly. Picking it up, he threw it back at Kunal with all his strength. Kunal struck hard again. The gilly went flying in another direction. Kunal was proving to be too good a player for us. The gilly had flown over to Pramod now. Pramod flung the gilly back at Kunal. Kunal hit it again, this time towards Brijesh. It should have been an easy catch, but Brijesh missed. Disappointed with himself, Brijesh tossed the gilly back at Kunal with all his power. Kunal did miss this time either. The gilly was now flying towards me. I was ready to catch it, but it never came. All of a sudden, there was a lot of noise. A man in kurta and dhoti was standing in the middle of the playground. His Turkish cap was lying on the ground upside down. The gilly seemed to have hit the cap and had landed inside the cap. The man was furious. "You naughty boys! See what you have done!" he shouted. "I am sorry, sir," Kunal said promptly. "I did not do it on purpose. It was a mistake, but I am very sorry." "Why don't you play in your school compound?" the man shouted. Brijesh said, "Sir, we are sorry. Our school compound is very small." "But that doesn't mean that you should play here, does it?" the man asked. "I'll go to your principal immediately." Turning around, he started walking towards the school. I quietly stole a glance at my friends. We were all scared of the principal, Mr. Ahmed. The man went straight to the principal's office. All of us crept into the courtyard outside the principal's room. We tried to guess the conversation they were having and the punishment we would be given. Soon, the peon came out and called us. One by one, we entered the principal's room. We looked at one another. No one could say a word. Mr. Ahmed raised his voice. "Why don't any of you speak up?" I replied, "Sir, we are sorry. We shall be careful in future." Mr. Ahmed said, "Apologize to this gentleman, all of you." We chorused, "We are very sorry, sir." "Okay, boys," the man said. He looked happy and moved towards the door. Just as we were going out, Mr. Ahmed asked us, "Whose stroke was it?" I looked towards Kunal. He was looking at me. My heart was beating faster and faster. But how could I blame my friend? With a sinking feeling, I decided I would take the blame. I opened my mouth to reply. But Kunal was quicker. "Sir, it was my stroke. I am very sorry." "What a stroke!" Mr. Ahmed exclaimed. "You strike the gilly, hit a man's cap, the cap falls, and then the gilly lands inside it. A master player, no doubt." I could not control my laughter, but I did not want to laugh in the principal's presence either. So, with great effort, I managed a wide smile. We were eager to go out and have a hearty laugh. The man with the Turkish cap also turned around at the door. He too looked amused. Still smiling, he went away. We trooped out of the room, then we burst out laughing. The Turkish Cap is a beautiful story by B P Gupta. In this story, he explains about how a group of students spent their leisure time by playing the game Gilli and Danda, and an incident that pulled all of them in a big trouble. But the students did not do anything wrong. They rise up to the situation and apologize for the mistake happened unknowingly. Finally, they are appreciated by the principal for the wonderful performance. The characters of the story, the students or the children: Kunal, Paresh, Nilesh, Pramod, Brijesh, the speaker. Then the stranger, Mr. Ahmed, the principal, and the peon. Gilli and Danda is an outdoor game. Two sticks are the properties used to play the game. Gilli, the small one, and Danda, the longer one. The gilli is placed on the ground at the center of a big circle, and it has to be striked out to a distance using danda. The farther the distance, the higher is the score. Others will take their positions around the circle and catch the gilli, then throw it back to the striker, and thus goes the game. Now listen to the story. The story takes place during the school hours. As the bell rang, the children rushed out of the classroom. The speaker took the gilli from his bag and Kunal took the danda. They rushed to the compound, which is outside the school. And why did they go outside? Because their school ground is too small to play this game. And this is the ground where they usually play. Now they are getting ready for the game. Paresh drew a big circle. Kunal entered the circle and placed the gilli in the center of the circle. He took the danda and got ready to strike it. Others all took their positions around the circle to catch the gilli. Kunal struck the gilli and it flew away. Nobody was able to catch it. It went far away. The children who were around the circle ran after gilli to catch it. Nilesh reached first near gilli. Nilesh picked it up and threw it back with all his strength to Kunal. Kunal gave a good strike again and the gilli flew in another direction. Kunal's performance was too high for the others to catch up, but they all enjoyed. Now Pramod ran behind the gilli as it flew over him. He too threw it back at Kunal with all his might. Kunal hit it much harder again, and this time towards Brijesh. He too missed, but took it and threw back at Kunal with all his strength. At this time too, Kunal did not miss his chance. He enjoyed very much and hit it harder. Now the gilli was flying to the speaker and he too could not make it. As the children were enjoying the game, they could hear a lot of noise as if someone is shouting angrily. The children stopped playing and looked around there. They saw a man in kurta and dhoti standing in the middle of the playground and his Turkish cap just lying on the ground upside down. The children were too scared at the scene because their gilli was inside the cap. All of them stood like a statue out of fear as they understood the gravity or seriousness of the issue. The gilli might have hit his cap, they thought. Then the cap fell down with the gilli inside it. The man was too angry and shouted at the children. All of a sudden, Kunal moved forward and apologized, but the man was not ready to accept it at all. The man continued shouting at the children by asking the reason for not using the school compound. The children said the reason that their school compound is very small. They cannot play this sort of game there. But the man was not ready to accept at all. He continued shouting by saying that whatever may be the reason, you should not play here. Let me meet your principal. He looked at the children angrily and moved towards the school. Meanwhile, the speaker looked at everyone. All were looking very upset as they were too scared of their principal, Mr. Ahmed. The children too moved slowly to the school. The man went to the principal's office. The children stood in the courtyard outside the principal's room. Their hearts were beating out of fear. The children started guessing about the punishment that they are going to get because Mr. Ahmed is very strict about discipline. Soon they were called to the office by the peon. One by one, all of them entered the principal's room. The children looked at each other. Nobody could say anything. They all were ice cold by thinking what will happen next. Then Mr. Ahmed's question came in a thunderous voice by breaking the silence. Why don't any one of you speak up? He got so angry with the students. The stranger too is there in his office. Then the speaker apologized on behalf of everyone, also promised that they will be more careful in future. Now Mr. Ahmed, the principal, asked the children to apologize to the gentleman. All of them said sorry to him, and with this the stranger was okay with the boys. He looked happy as they apologized and the kind of consideration he got from the office. The man moved towards the door. The children also started to move towards outside, but Mr. Ahmed asked about the stroke that hit the man's cap. Now they again got puzzled, and the speaker and Kunal looked at each other. The speaker thought to take the blame and save Kunal, but Kunal answered straightforward and instantly. Kunal admitted his mistake and apologized, but here, to their surprise, Mr. Ahmed got excited and exclaimed about Kunal's performance. He said, "You strike the gilly, hit a man's cap, the cap falls, and then the gilly lands inside it. A master player, no doubt." Now the children got surprised by hearing Mr. Ahmed praising Kunal's stroke. The speaker felt so relaxed and wanted to laugh. But he did not, as they were in principal's room. The children loved and respected their principal that much as the same way the principal was. So with a great effort, they controlled themselves and put a smile on their faces. Now all are happy and relaxed. That the stranger as well as the principal could read their mind. They were just waiting to come out and have a loud, happy laugh, relax and enjoy. As the children moved out, they met the stranger at the door. He too was just waiting around at the door. But with a happy and satisfied face, with a smile, he walked away, and the children came out and burst into hearty laugh.